My
Hey,
people were
companions,
biologically determined
this is
for one
Willow,
purpose
calling in
alone,
with some
to
Star
sense
Trek
the coming of
Discovery
damn blind
thoughts.
podcasts.
So
I
I went
sense
into
it
the
coming
show with lowered expectations after Brian Fuller left, and I just accepted the different visuals with the Klingons.
They asked Sonequa Martin Green, will she be a captain on the show at any point? And she goes, oh, I think I will.
So I got past all of that before we had even seen the first episode. I do agree that
You will never be able to
would be
podcast
much
as good
better
as
if
us.
we had
Your tongue is
a
too
more
human.
optimistic utopian future like we get from the rest of the series. But I'm not really surprised.
Hey
that we're
everybody,
getting this
hello,
kind of show
and welcome
in
to
2017,
a Discovery
'cause it's a
Home
pretty,
Companion.
pretty dark time.
Your home for Discovery now that Discovery is taking a break.
I want it to be
So are we. We are taking your voicemails and your emails, and we're getting your responses. And so yeah, we want to know what you think of Star Trek Discovery. My name is Wade Bowen, and with me is James Nolan.
Hey guys.
And Hugh Crawford.
Greetings.
Sit back with some libations.
Salutations.
Some of them I really
Yeah, so I'm a little bit cold.
Them.
Oh yeah, Star Trek Discovery. It's Sunday night. Pull back the curtain. This is where we usually we're going to talk about the most recent episode.
And I haven't seen
except there wasn't
like
one.
that in
No.
So what are
so that's pretty
and
cool.
I don't know. So are y'all did y'all miss the show? Are you really disappointed that you didn't have that to look forward to tonight?
I will miss interacting. Well, I mean, we have this podcast, so I still get to interact with the fan base. With the fans. No one likes being called a fan base. That sounds really fucking weird.
Should have been done
No,
so much better.
I don't feel
very disappointed
alone or
that
empty
the
because I still
women of
have
color and
all of
authority
you guys.
we got right away with Captain
I'm actually
Giorgio
feeling like I
and
needed some
the
distance from it, so
security
maybe I can
chief
kind
on
of
the
revisit
Discovery
it maybe
died so quickly,
later on before
after
the
we
break is
were
over,
promised
Yeah.
them.
and maybe look at it with fresh
I'm
eyes.
pretty
Things
bitter
got
about
pretty
that.
real there.
This last 9 weeks,
And,
every
you know,
recorded
I
reaction
do
you got from me
complain
was
on
pretty
the Discord
raw.
a whole lot about
And-
Voyager and how
And
tedious
now that I
it is.
know what I'm looking at,
And
like now that
I've
I
just been
know
slogging through it
that
for
is
so long.
it is
So
ostensibly
Discovery's
like a soap
problems
opera
are,
where
it's
you have things
at least
perpetually
new
going
and
and
different,
not really
and I
like
look forward to seeing it.
not really tidied up. Like it's just,
And I put
you know what I
off
mean? Like
watching
there are
Voyager.
obviously somewhere
So,
else in a different
I realize
universe
that
they
they're
left us,
different,
and they left so many things just
and I
dangling there.
realize
It doesn't
that,
really matter.
they have shorter
you know,
seasons, and we tell
that it's
stories
sort of
differently
a
now. But so many of the shows
like a
past Star
steamrolling
Treks have
narrative machine where it doesn't
struggled
really care what it leaves in
with
its wake.
studio
Maybe when it comes
interference
back,
or
it'll
the
tie up
expectations put on
those
them.
loose
And we
ends
have even
in a
more
perfect bow that we're all going to be
visibility
happy
with
with.
the constant
I'm not holding
social
my
media
breath.
Yeah,
coverage
yeah.
But it
of
seems like everybody is like
the
everybody
after
seems to
Trek
say
talk show.
whether it be
So
on this podcast
I'm not really
or
surprised
in the
that it's had a
Discord
rocky start,
or on
but
Twitter.
I'm
Well, we just don't
looking
know.
forward to
We
more,
just don't know. We'll have to wait and
and,
see.
love
But
discussing
there's so
this
much
with
that
you
we actually
guys.
do know since
When
that
it be out?
finale. I think that we've got a pretty good idea of what kind of show we're going to get.
Oh, I believe so too. I think, yeah.
I kind of do, but then it depends on how fast they resolve the mirror universe thing, which sure, I'm going to just go ahead. Yeah, they're in the mirror universe now. Or maybe they're not, but they're going to jump to it in an episode. And is this going to be sliders now? Or are they going to just jumping from universe to universe?
Sliders.
If John Rhys Davies, is John Rhys Davies still alive?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
so.
think so.
If John Rhys Davies is on this show, that'll make me happy.
Yeah, he's playing a Klingon without the mustache.
Oh my God.
Or a beard.
Oh, he's just got like the little spuddy that Christopher Plummer does. John Rhys Davies should be a Klingon before he shakes this mortal coil.
Yeah, right. And like, I think I even saw they showed a production still of stuff, and they said, "Oh, look at the Tribble is on set or something." And I hope it was an actual set or just like maybe a green room or something. Because if it were the actual set, it looked a whole lot like a TOS set.
Oh,
and not because they showed there was a panel with like little lights on it, but they were just like little Christmas lights, and they were, you know, like with filaments and stuff on the thing, and it was like just a gray box with little lights in it and stuff. So I don't know. And then there's that article about like, yeah, what if they were never in the Prime?
Yeah, that we were never in the Prime universe.
Yeah.
That would go with Goldman's.
Then I will never have a podcast about the Prime universe.
Well, then Avika Goldsman said that he was in a different timeline. You know, maybe I know they blow a lot of hot air during those interviews, but maybe we should just take his word for it.
Right.
Maybe he spoke too true, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe but I mean, if they weren't, they're definitely going to end up in the Prime. I don't know. Maybe not. All I know is that they weren't in the Kelvin timeline. That is, but whatever. That's very conjectural. So I don't know, but they can do a whole Flashpoint or a Crisis or do whatever. They're like, give people what they want.
Just had the best idea. Alex Kurzweil is not working out for the show. Neither is Akiva Goldsman. Kurtzman. Kurzweil is not working either.
Once the singularity happens, and
so Zack Snyder is available.
Yeah, that is a great idea. I say that.
I can't stop laughing.
So that's some of me talking out of my ass about what they could happen in 6-9 weeks or however long we have before the show starts up. But in the meantime, why don't we just get into some of the feedback that you guys had for us?
Yeah.
Before we do, I was going to say, I do feel sorry for the show because it is like, I feel like I'm saying it's got to make some changes. But if it makes too many changes,
right? It's
like,
damned
yeah. So I don't envy what the show has to do to win my affection.
We're tough critic. Yeah,
I really don't feel like I'm that tough of a sell. All I wanted was it to make some goddamn sense and be able to tell if somebody gets shot in the face. Do I know who's getting shot in the face? I just don't want stuff dropped. Like you have a mirror, you have a guy appear in a mirror and he's not right, and then that doesn't end up meaning anything with the
well,
it doesn't mean that
it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
But that, well, I don't want to get into that. It doesn't mean any that's a quintessential, like, yes, that's a hook that they left there that they're gonna get to. It's not like that's not a red.
Gonna get to.
Yes, they're definitely gonna get to that because how
are they gonna get to that?
The Stamets mystery is the one that they've actually. This is the one thing that they've set up that is a thing. The rest of them are like maybe they are, maybe they're not.
You don't believe that whatever's going on with Stamets is going to make the mirrors work different, right?
Well, I don't know. Something that's going on with Stamets is going to explain why his mirror winked at him. Yeah.
But
Why that's not crazy to say that thing that they set up.
No, you actually said it in a way that made me legitimately laugh at, like, you told funny. You made it funny. Like,
wait,
I'm not laughing at you making that statement. I'm laughing at the statement you said.
The statement is funny. It is because
sorry.
The statement is so plainly true, though. Some weird shit happened at the end of that episode, and it was never addressed. And I don't think that just because they're going into a different dimension, that particular instance is ever going to be addressed.
But of all the mysteries that we've talked about, like, oh, is he a Klingon or not? Is Lorca from the Mirror Universe? What's going on with Stamets? That's the one thing throughout these first 9 episodes that they've set up as, hey, look, this is a mystery that they've actually done the storytelling job good enough to where you know that you're supposed to notice it. The rest of them are all these like Easter egg hints that they're going to pull the rug out from later.
Okay, so when he went back to his cranky self,
yeah.
He went back to his cranky self. They never explained why. They just say
it was an indication too bold.
Yes.
Like, what if, like, instead of looking in the mirror, he looked at his hand, and on the palm of his hand, a mouth come out and said, "Oh no!" like I mean, like, that was so weird.
But, okay, so you're having now we're getting mad when they're too obvious with like telegraphing mysteries, and we're getting mad at them when they're not obvious enough.
I guess we're just mad because they're not coherent. I guess that's what I'm mad about.
My argument is that Stamets is the most coherent telegraphed mystery of all. So, yes, they're definitely going to do something with it.
I appreciate your faith in the show. that yes, they're definitely going to do so. Because I feel like they explained away what the deal was with them.
It might just be that they stopped using the mushroom drive because it made Stamets weird.
I mean, they clearly explained what was wrong with him. He had a medical issue, and
we don't know what
caused him to fuck up across time and space.
But they never laid out exactly what was going on with that.
That's my problem, Wade.
But your problem is that I don't want to start getting into this because we're going to get into a voicemail that does that later.
All right.
But they clearly set that up. That's a thing that they set up that we don't know what's happening, but they're going to say at some point.
And I'm saying that we probably don't know what's happening because they're lousy at explaining what's happening.
They've telegraphed that there's a thing that we don't know that we're definitely probably going to have it come up again later.
Because they definitely maybe going to do it.
They've had every scene with the one with Tilly has had a scene with
yes.
She saw it and then she calls him. Yes. What I don't.
They explain what's wrong with him.
Okay, chill. Okay, I think that it was that they do seem to sort of explain what was wrong with him. And the mirror.
What did they? What
is gray matters effed in the B because of the
right. But that's not the end of it. That's just a symptom of something's weird with his brain going on. But that's just like they don't know what the. It's not like, oh, that's the end of it. His gray matter's messed up. That's just like a symptom of it, or that's a mark of what's going on. But that's not like mystery solved. That's all it was. His gray matter, whatever, is messed up because his temporal brain chemistry or whatever is messed up because he's been tripping on weird shrooms that have been fucking with his brain.
See, I think that it's just as much. I think it's 50-50 whether this story is done or not. Like, he's in there, and he's like, I can't make the jump anymore. That was the last thing. Because, I don't know, did he die or something?
No.
Was he bleeding out his nose or something at the end? What was it look like?
No,
I can't remember.
He turns into Gandalf at the end. He's right?
Oh, he gets Gary whatever eyes.
Yeah.
He goes wide-eyed, yeah.
Yeah.
And is he more albino when he comes out? But anyway.
Something like... But yeah, something happened to him. They're not going to say, oh, that thing happened to him. I guess we're done with this.
I think it might just be that the ship was... No, I think it might just be that the ship was fucking with him.
Well, yeah, you think it's done with them now, though?
That's my point, Wade.
Why would I not? The storyline's kind of over. He's got wide eyes. I mean...
They're just going to say, he's got wide eyes now. That's the end. We don't have to deal with that anymore.
It was a spent battery. They shouldn't have rode that far on the donut.
That's just done. That's the end of it. You really think
they could easily do that?
They could 50-50,
They could
buddy.
easily, yeah. That is a real possibility that they could just.
That's ridiculous.
That you will never know exactly why the weird.
Klingons are basic, except for like Vok. The Klingons are just done.
That's my point.
Everything.
This one is the most cooked out of all the things. This is.
But I'm just saying, you have to steel yourself against the possibility that you'll never know why we had that weird scene with Stamets in the mirror.
Fair enough.
That's my point.
But I think
it's greater than 50-50 that if they do have an explanation of Stamets, I think it's greater than 50-50 that it would not explain when it happened in that mirror.
Right. That's
Well, I don't know. I think you're going to be able to like nerd corner extrapolate that. Oh, that's what it was.
That would be a gift if they give that to the nerds enough to like give an explanation to extrapolate that the cause and effect. That would be cool. I mean, I don't
even like that because that's. What's annoying to me is like every break from canon, quote unquote, and every little detail is a nerd corner extrapolation. It's like, no, actually, it does fit.
Right.
So
that is tiresome, isn't it?
I want them to actually set things up and tell them and telegraph them clearly so that we know what the thing is, which they haven't been doing, except for me, except the Stamets storyline is the one mystery that they've done a good job of setting up. Here's a mystery that is going to be dealt with later on because stuff keeps happening with it.
It's interesting to me that you still see it as a mystery, as we know that the spore drive is clearly messing up with his mind, and he actually said he could see different times and different dimensions.
Right. So well, the mystery
that's the problem.
But that's we don't.
The spore drive fucked up his brain, and he could see across time and space differently than everybody else.
Yes,
because he's ridden the cosmic whatever.
Right. But okay, is he traveling across? He's seeing across dimensions. Is he seeing old self, or is he just seeing everything? It's like he's taking the spice,
right? And you might never get a good explanation about it.
Okay, here's the things. I'm going to lay down markers. A quality answer to the question has to answer what happened in the mirror and why he called Tilly captain.
Yes, agreed.
I'm less confident. I'm not saying it. I'm 100% confident. I'm 100% confident that Ash was Vok. I was 100% confident the whole show. I am less than 100% confident that you won't get an answer to that. Not unconfident about it either.
I'm not 100% confident they'll say exactly, I saw you as a captain here. But I am confident that they'll have something like an explanation of him seeing all these different totalities of time, blah, blah, blah. And then also with the mirror, seeing him in the mirror, we're going to have to see two different Stamets interact at some point. We're going to the mirror universe. We're going to have to see a fucking mirror version of some of these guys.
I'm all about us saying that we're going to the mirror universe, but we might not actually be going to the mirror universe proper. We might be going to a bastardization of the mirror universe.
Or the other thing is Stamets will be the one person that doesn't have a mirror version of himself because somehow they've all been pushed into he's the same.
Well, they might see the whole Terran politics TOS era mirror universe is too baroque for modern times, the show's creators.
Yeah.
And might decide to do their own spin on the mirror universe.
I just thought, what if they do the thing that I say that I want, but I absolutely don't want them to do in the show, where they go to the mirror universe, but none of the people are the same. It's just Terrans and Klingons, and it's the same politics, but like it's not the same act, which is what I bitch about. Like, why, if everything is different, why did all these people end up together the same? In the same clusters,
right?
But I don't want them to, here's the thing: don't do a mirror universe episode, because what I don't want you to do is to change the mirror universe either. Just don't. I don't like the mirror universe. Don't do it.
I'm trying to tell you is that they might think the whole Terran. I mean, they'd have to use this similar imagery that they came up with in 1967 or 68 or whatever. They might just think it's too old timey and silly. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm confident you're not going to see a goatee.
You really?
But
I'm not confident because that's like a good fan thing that they're going to have a goatee on somebody and then make a clever little joke about it. Akiva is going to insist the guy has a goatee.
I think that one of the things that we got talked to, like, that came up a few times, and I thought about it later after, because I usually hate the writing and usually defend it, but one of the things that you're constantly like sort of eye-rolly about is the lines that echo the Kirk preamble to the original series. Mm-hmm. The diverse space and the boldly go where no man has gone before.
Right.
Enterprise made that a famous speech by Zephram Cochrane.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like quoting like founding father bullshit. So I'm not
right.
I give it a little bit.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give that a pass in some ways too.
Yeah, they make it like the Gettysburg Address. So freedom should not perish from this earth, and the sort of echoes of those kind of lines. So I'm willing to give it a pass, but I don't know what they're going to do with the mirror universe. It may not be the mirror. I mean, I think it's the mirror universe, and I think it may be the MUINO. The mirror universe, the name only.
Okay.
Right.
That's what is he doing there? Oh, okay.
Let's have fans yell at us.
Wait a minute. We were just about to take a call before I started getting a little yelly there for about 10 minutes.
We shook off the barnacles and are back to fighting.
Yeah, right. First off, let's see. We got a call here from Tom from Cleveland.
Hi, this is Tom from Cleveland, calling for Discovery Home Companion. I'm not worried about the Ash-Vok controversy here. Can we get to the Lane-Wade controversy? Lane clearly is just a persona that Wade has created to call into his own podcast and maybe make some points about the show that he doesn't feel he can make as himself. It just seems very strange. The voice is too similar. Maybe, we're going to meet his younger brother Zane, maybe his older sister Jane. Ashvak, doesn't matter. Let's get to the bottom of this Lane Wade controversy. All right, so you guys get on that. Appreciate it. Again, great show.
Oh my God, we have Lane truthers out there now. We've got
Right.
people who refuse to believe Lane is a.
Listen, I've met Javik Iqbal at a party one time.
I gotta tell you, I put them both in my wedding party as groomsmen when I got married, and I thought they would be there together. I mean, they're brothers. Surely it's not that hard to get their shit together and show up together.
It was weird.
But one of them had to keep leaving for some reason or another, and it was very weird.
All right, we got
Yeah.
Lane truthers. I'm sure Lane will appreciate that.
Right, like every time I start to explain it, Jason Isaacs jumps in front of me and says, "Shut the fuck up."
The story will come out. They always tell me. Don't worry about it.
Well, okay.
There's twists and turns that we won't see coming. They assure us.
I'm gonna let your little theory there sit, but in the meantime, why don't we just let the man speak for himself? And we've got a call here from Lane.
I'm definitely going to ask in the Discord if anybody believes Lane is real.
Hey, this is Lane for Discovery Home Companion again. Had all these high expectations for I was going to actually make a recorded statement, put everything down so I could articulate everything, but I don't have time for that shit, and this show's not that great, so it's not worth doing that. But I did have to say a couple of things. First off, maybe this one's, well, let's just say, what was it? Oh yeah, it was, fuck you guys. Okay, I had to get that off my chest, best of love and all that. It's like family and all, but come on. Let me just to put words in your mouth, James. Say, hey, if you like this show, then you must be a mouth-breathing Transformers fan. And that's a matter of taste, but your taste clearly is.
I'm decidedly not saying that.
Pretty inferior, and you might as well be downloading and torrenting all the Transformers you can. Well. Come on, man, them's fighting words. That's geez, Louise, this show is not great by any means, but fucking A, that is ridiculous to say. If you enjoyed it, you're probably a Transformers fan. Alright, I know, just, whew, boy. Anyway, yeah, so, all that to say, yeah, flaws, definitely there. This was the best episode of it so far. Not perfect, but the main way I watch the show is, I think we watch the show differently. I watch it as in an experiment, and can I figure out what might happen, and also what would actually be workable and not suck? That's a fun experiment for me, which is enough really on lots of crappy shows. This particular show, basically every episode you have to throw out the previous ones and hope they figure out what they're doing. Much like, most Star Trek starts off pretty shaky. Look at the first season of DS9. This one, they've got this far, and then maybe in the final episode there are signs that they are putting their crap together, figuring out what they want to do. But they only, at best, are starting to figure that out right now. And I'm actually hopeful that if they go where they are, maybe they'll get a decent show out of it. Now, I do like the idea that we're never been in the Prime universe after all, as a thought I had that I saw some other people on Twitter were hitting on. And they really I thought that would actually justify it. I know, of course, Mirror Universe is going to be a point of contention, but hell, I'm all for it. At least that'll justify it, and just don't make it Kelvin, and I'm fine. But anyway, I probably went too long. Anyway, there you go. Talk to you later. Oh, and yeah, bye.
I do don't make it Kelvin, and I'll be fine. I feel that there are so many people who live by that. Don't make it Kelvin, and I'll be fine.
I guess I have to defend myself. Yeah, okay. I thought about it when I said that, because I edited the episode and I remember. I did say, if you like this, that's good. People like the Transformer movie. So I'm not saying that people who like Transformer movies like this. But I don't see them.
Hey, idiots people I think that's the point. It's okay if you like that. People like stupid shit.
I don't know how to say it. I don't like this. and it reminds me of the Transformer films. And and there's people that like those Transformer films. I'm not even putting a value judgment on it. I tried not to do that. I distinctly didn't I didn't say that this is lower than good, but I have a podcast about my opinions, and this is my opinion. I'm not trying to damn people by what they like.
Well, I think it's the equivalence. It's like, well, it's the same. Like, it's a different thing than the like.
How? I don't know how.
Because it's Star Trek. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
that's not a good enough reason.
I don't know. I haven't watched the Transformers movies, but it's not. You can like it for different reasons than you like a Transformers movie. I think that's the problem.
Of course. But I don't know why. I mean, I don't like, it's not, I mean, okay. Okay. So what we're saying is that people like Transformer movies because they're turn off your brain and chew some popcorn and watch a movie type of movie. and Star Trek is not like that. And I just think that this show is kind of a...
Well, I mean, it's not a turn off your brain and just sit back. It can be, but like there's also trying to figure, like what he talks about in the thing, you're trying to figure out what they're doing here, how they could do it better. But then there's all these little Easter eggs and how it fits into the other stuff.
The Transformer movies have that too. First off, they're written by the same person. So like I don't know why the comparison
they're not.
is
That's actually not true. Those people aren't writers. They're producers and not even the showrunners. Though they do have a big hand, I think, in the way the show is getting made, but they're not writers on the show.
Okay, the auteur.
Well, they're not the showrunners. The auteur of this show is not Alex.
Is the auteur of The Mummy.
But it's not.
It is Alex Kurtzman. The auteur is the creator of the thing, and that creator of the thing is Alex.
But he's a co-creator, and
they fired the original creator.
Yes, and then brought in new showrunners.
Showrunners are, I mean, showrunners are the different. Showrunners is not like these guys aren't Vince Gilligan. Showrunners are what you make of it.
I know. I mean, I will argue that they're
okay. Matt Groening was never the showrunner of The Simpsons. But The Simpsons is a work of Matt Groening. Al Jean and the other guy, Mike Reiss, made it good.
Right.
But it was a work of Matt Groening's, and it was a work of James L. Brooks's. There's no way that you would say that Al Jean and Mike Reiss were the auteurs of those first Simpsons seasons.
Right.
You say that it's Matt Groening and maybe James Brooks, and that the auteur of this show is Alex Kurtzman.
I don't know if I agree with, because I don't agree with that. I think he has a big, heavy hand in the production and it's executive producing it. But I don't know. My problem with the show is it doesn't have an auteur as much that can take full credit.
That's my problem with it. That's my problem too.
Why wouldn't it be Alex Kurtzman?
Because it's got so.
He was the head of the Dark Universe.
I definitely see what your point is, that he has a lot of influence over it, but I'm not ready to call him the auteur behind the show. I'm not going full auteur theory on this show.
Well, I guess where our point is that it's got the same pedigree as the Dark Universe and as a Transformers movie. So why are we that shocked?
Why am I wrong
not...
for comparing it to those?
No, I'm not saying you're wrong to make the comparison. I'm just not ready to call him.
If I was going to compare Batman versus Superman to the 300, that's fair, right?
Right. Well, those are the same director.
Who's the auteur of the work?
Exactly, because I'm ready to go full auteur theory with the director of movies. I'm not ready to go full auteur theory with Alex Kurtzman on this Too Many Cooks mess of a show. I'm willing to say he has a very pronounced, strong influence on it, but I'm not willing to give him possession of it.
Is it unfair to compare them to the Transformer movie?
It's fine to make the comparison, but it feels like the argument you keep making is that you're making an equivalence, which I think that
I am.
Yeah, that's what I disagree with.
Guilty as charged.
Well, maybe you guys are splitting hairs. Just a couple of words. Just shooting the breeze.
Comparison but I would not say they're the same.
What I'm not doing is I'm not vocally judging people who like those kinds of things.
Right, but you're saying that they're the same people, like you have.
I'm saying that's what I'm getting. That's the vibe I'm getting from the show, and that's not what I'm wanting to see from Star Trek.
Because you're not getting it doesn't mean that's the only way that other people are experiencing it.
That's totally valid. James's opinions are wholly his own.
Do not reflect.
Do not reflect. Yes. Who decided to put dim titties in the show? That was Alex Kurtzman. I'm positive.
I don't know, man. That could have been a number of.
Oh, we're gonna get to the bottom of that before this series is over.
Yeah, somebody. I don't know that.
my next hour-long video is going to be about dim titties. No, they're not. That's not. It's not at all. That's not a top 10. The most vile that Lane has ever gotten with me before.
Right.
So yeah, we've argued over much more extreme things. So yes, it.
All right. So now we have a couple of responses here from fans or friends of Cisco on the Patreon at the Kickers of Elves, and well, if you were listening to this podcast, you might have heard them get called out by James, I think.
Yes, I was trying to, because there's people, if you just listen to the podcast, it seems the conversation's pretty one-sided, but that Wade is alone, and we're kind of arguing with him, and I wanted to bring some of his defenders from the Discord onto the show.
All right. So first off here, we have a call from JR.
Hey guys, this is JR from Canada. Since James called me out on the last podcast to send in a voicemail, let's just do it. I've been defending the show a lot on the Discord server, but I think things are looking pretty bad right now. It's getting harder and harder to be super positive about the show because we have to rely so much on headcanon just for things to make sense. And just saying just enjoy it, don't think about it, is just a bad argument. I still enjoy the show a lot, but the writing is just weak. Like in the last pod, Wade said something about the show being serialized, but I don't agree. The characters evolve so fast, we never feel them grow, and they're not really holding up to what you're supposed to think about them. The writers ask us to take a lot for granted without caring to explain or even show it. Like, they established Tilly as a super awkward person to be around, and then she becomes super confident, super fast, and she's like fast-tracked in becoming captain. Culber and Stamets are super in love, and they seem to love each other so deeply, but Culber never ever gave his boyfriend a physical, even after the time loop episode. Stamets goes around saying he's a trans-time dimensional being, and they don't even discuss this. I thought they had super intense teeth brushing sessions where they had deep discussions about how they felt about each other and how they're doing. Tyler goes from clobbering Laurel in the Klingon ship to falling to his knees and crying. What happened there? Lorca says the crew goes from polite scientists to fierce warriors, but we really never see that happening. They're just warriors because Lorca said so, the writer said so, it's written in the script. They are warriors now, they're no scientists anymore. And it's really true, there's a real Space Marine feeling to the whole show. We really hit peak galaxy fight with the walkaway explosion in the last episode. Like you, I wish we had more Klingon characters. Maybe Laurel would make sense if we had seen some of her friends and maybe a bit more setup around Vok and how the Klingons work. Before handing some positive stuff, Lorca is just so fun to watch. Jason Isaacs is just a pleasure to see him work. And the Mirror Lorca theory is actually pretty interesting. The Burnham evolution, the Burnham arc was really satisfying. The Leith episode was a really pivotal episode for her. I really liked it. Saru is really endearing. I wish we had seen more of him and Lorca working together since they seem to be polar opposite. Whether we like it or not, discussing the Ash-Vok theory has been pretty fun on the Discord server, and I think it's a fun argument, so figuring it out will still be fun. I'll still be watching the show and paying from a Canadian streaming app. At least I've got a buttload of great HBO shows instead of Inspector or The Good Wives. Thank you guys for the show. You gotta do a couple recap episodes for the first chapter, top nine episodes, best, worst, what you would do to fix the series or whatever. And people, come over to the Kinker of Earls Patreon. It's awesome, and we would like to see the community grow. Thank you guys for the podcast. Have a great evening.
Let's get in some play.
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, he broke down a lot of good. He had a lot of salient points there. I can't argue with much.
Right.
I think that we will. Are we going to do any sort of recap? That's a good question.
I would like to do a what would we fix?
Yeah,
But,
or how would
I'm afraid that the answer would be everything. But yeah, work within the bounds of the characters.
You know what? We might put some parameters on that where we say, why don't we do a what would we fix? But you can only fix 3 things.
Ooh.
So we try to fix it with our hands tied a little bit.
And it can't be like massive recasting or anything. Like you kind of have to work with like if we're Joss Whedon coming into
we can only change 25%.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have to CG Lorca's mustache off.
We can't set up. It's going to set up the mirror universe reveal if he's got the goatee the whole time. We got to get rid of it.
The Lorca thing is, I mean, that Jason Isaacs is so good,
right,
on this show, and there is a lot to like. There's a lot to like here.
Yeah,
like, there's mirrors or echoes of like a better show? Like, as you see, I mean, I'd like to see a woman of color as the captain, and I think that the show is screaming for that. So but Jason Isaacs is a good lead character on a show like this. If he wasn't doing the things that the show is making him do. So, like, if this show was just silly cash grab show to sell a CBS All Access.
So glad that they're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. If it was just that, if I had no other attachment to it, so I wouldn't get this worked up about it.
Right.
But seeing a lot of these ideas kind of go to waste. What I think is a waste. People may like this show, and they could turn it around. All the caveats, but
yeah,
right now,
good points all. He came on as like, well, I defend Wade, except here's the things I don't like the show. But
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine because look. They're all points that I agree with too, for the most part. Again, I haven't said that I think the show is great, but I can enjoy it for a lot of what he covered there. Okay, so now we have another person that you specifically referenced to call in to take my side because I can't.
She's just gonna say the show sucks, isn't she?
That what?
She's just gonna say the show sucks. Isn't she?
Yeah, that's right. I haven't listened to this one yet, so I don't know what Willow is going to say.
Okay.
Hey companions, this is Willow calling in with some Star Trek Discovery thoughts. So I went into the show with lowered expectations after Brian Fuller left, and I just accepted the different visuals with the Klingons and the fancy technology that doesn't fit with the original series. So I got past all of that before we had even seen the first episode. I do agree that it would be much better if we had a more optimistic utopian future like we get from the rest of the series. But I'm not really surprised that we're getting this kind of show in 2017 because it's a pretty dark time. I've been enjoying it week to week, and I want it to be different, and I want it to be better, but I can also enjoy what I'm getting. I do have that just general hope for Star Trek and enjoyment that you talked about on the last episode. Some of the things I do really like. I really love the cast, and all the main characters. I'm interested in everybody. Some of them I really love, and I want to know what's going on with them. I think that the science that they picked with the jumps for the ship is pretty weird and different, and I haven't seen anything like that in sci-fi before, so that's pretty cool. And I do like the more like lower decks feel without having just the top officers on the ship like we have on the Next Generation, etc. So that's good. I I definitely agree the Klingon stuff is clunky and should have been done so much better. I was very disappointed that the women of color and authority we got right away with Captain Giorgio and the security chief on the Discovery died so quickly after we were promised them. So I'm pretty bitter about that. And, you know, I do complain on the Discord a whole lot about Voyager and how tedious it is, and that I've just been slogging through it for so long. So whatever Discovery's problems are, it's at least new and different, and I look forward to seeing it. And I put off watching Voyager. So I realize that they're different. And I realize that, you know, they have shorter seasons and we tell stories differently now. But so many of the shows, the past Star Treks, have struggled with studio interference or the expectations put on them. And we have even more visibility with the constant social media coverage of everything, the After Trek talk show. So I'm not really surprised that it's had a rocky start, but I'm looking forward to more and love discussing this with you guys. Want to beam out?
She beamed out. I think it's interesting to me that I guess it shouldn't be so surprising that a show about optimism could elicit so much optimism about the show itself from fans. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The show is about, it has themes of hope and optimism for things getting better in the future. And people seem to have carried that time and time again through these rocky starts with the first seasons. And, you know, I guess it paid off in some respects in each case of the series, with Star Trek Enterprise being, I think, the exception to that, where the first season was one of the better ones, and then it got worse. But yeah, so yeah, I see where she's coming from.
Yeah.
I do too. I just think that it was. I feel like the show was packaged in a different way. It wasn't about like.
Oh, we got a bait and switch here. Oh, we most definitely got a bait and switch.
And so I guess like that if like I feel like that I grant that to a show like the Orville. That's just like, hey, we just threw a bunch of people onto a ship.
Yeah,
and we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna find our way. And it wasn't like that.
We're gonna do Star Trek.
Yeah. But Star Trek is like, no, we're going to do Game of Thrones. Well, Game of Thrones is a highly structured, almost too structured, story, and
right, yeah, like, they're trying to.
Everything's building towards a single event, and it's just this ain't.
Right.
And I want to review it that way. And if I want to review it that way, it's sucking at the beginning is a lot bigger deal than TNG sucking in the beginning.
Right. Well,
because it's not like you're not fucking up the foundations of a house.
Yeah. Well, that's my problem with because they are trying to do Game of Thrones, but they're trying to do Game of Thrones in tone. And what Game of Thrones does so well is, especially in that first season, is like, oh, this is the world of the books that is clearly does a lot of world building, and we're going to create that world and live in that world. Whereas they have a world in Star Trek that they should just, so create and live in that world down to a meticulous degree. Oh, except they wanted to redo everything to make that world tonally look more and be darker like Game of Thrones, which is
I think that most of the flaws of this show was in them saying, hey, and this is never a bad thing to say, but sometimes it is. There's a touch to these things where you say, I want to modernize it. We're going to do this property, but we want to modernize it.
Well, they modernized it in ways they didn't need to. Like
I know that's what the problem always becomes. Yeah. Is that for some reason in hackish corners of Hollywood, modernizing means make something darker.
Right.
And I just don't understand that. Like that. I don't know. Like, why does this show have to be so dark? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pretty simple critique. Why is this show so fucking dark?
Yeah.
And that's a foundational flaw. And yes, they can, can I picture a year from now us talking about season 2 and us loving it and it finding its way? Yes, most definitely. But it's got to be a fundamentally different show.
Right. Because, yeah, like Willow said, I do like the cast. I think all the casters pretty good. I think they're all fantastic actors for the most part. But the writing
It's almost never the cast. We said this
Yeah.
earlier when we were talking about Justice League. It's almost never the cast that's the problem.
Right.
Actors are pretty good. I mean, some people can't carry some roles. Most people are most studios now are pretty good at casting.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's never really the cast's role. It's the creators. It's the creativity, and it's the studio meddling, and it's trying to be, and this is the biggest flaw, you're always trying to fight the previous war. You greenlight Star Trek Discovery and you go, well, what's popular? And they say, well, Game of Thrones is popular. Well, let's make it more like Game of Thrones. Knowing that when the 2 years that it takes through production to get it out there, like, we're done with that.
Right.
You're supposed to, like, what do I want to do? I want to do the cool thing 2 years from now. And that's a touch talent thing. This show already feels old to me. Like, I don't feel like, and I'm not here to suck the dick of, like, Orville, but something about it feels quaint. Like, it feels, I don't want to say it feels new, but it feels like the nostalgia for something that's newer.
This or the Orville?
The Orville.
Okay, yeah.
Feels like fresh and kind of like peppy, where this just feels to me stale. It feels very 3-4 years ago. And
Actually, I feel like the Orville feels fresh where it needs to be fresh, and like steady and
Classic.
true.
Yeah.
Classic
See, it
where it
doesn't
needs to be classic.
It feels
It strikes a balance that Discovery clearly doesn't have yet.
right. We've argued about that on the Patreon and stuff about you and I and the Orville because it doesn't feel as fresh to me, but it feels great. Like, it feels comfortable,
Right.
And it's a good time. I'm not gonna shit talk
Right.
it, but it doesn't feel that new to me. It just feels well done, which is like, I don't care if it's new or not, just do it well.
Right.
And the Orville for the most part does. So I'll give it.
yeah, I'm trying to like put my finger on it, because I think that I don't want to see bleak ass shit. I don't know. I don't want to see.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something about, like, I'm bought into Game of Thrones, but I don't know if I would buy into it now. And when I watch like the season 2 for the Westworld, I'm like, ugh.
Oh yeah, I'm out on Westworld season 2.
Just like,
peace out.
Just like, ugh. Like, yeah, like,
I'll catch you on the Wikipedia page after season 2 wraps.
And and I know that like people think about Blade Runner. I talked a lot about how great Blade Runner 2048 was, and like, that movie wasn't as dour. I mean, it's dour, but that movie it was very dour. But that movie had like a weird hope spring to it. And
yeah, that is not a dour movie.
Yeah, it's
all.
not. Like, it has like this sort of like, I don't know. It's got like a framework for like improving. They end them. I mean, it ends with a framework for improving the lot of the lives of the people that live there.
Well, yeah, yes.
And it just never, it always felt hopeful. It was a show about hope in a way that I get the feeling that people might say this is a show about hope, but I don't see anything hopeful about any of this shit.
Well, they keep saying that we're going to end on hope. Bear with us. You got to bear with us because we're striving towards it.
It's like, I hope we kill all these Klingons.
Right.
It's a different kind of hope.
Well, I think it's a hope that you could be the first and worst mutineer in Federation history and end up on top.
Right.
I think that's the hope that they're trying to deliver.
If this could happen to me, it could happen to anyone.
Believe that is all we have. Oh, here's a thing from Adam P. Newton.
All right.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam P. Newton, also known as at Drive Time on Twitter. Do you like the rules of acquisition? Do you like Discovery Home Companion? Do you like being in contact with Star Trek fans who have brains, who talk about things in measured ways, don't get too worked up and just are generally supportive of each other and like exploring the Star Trek universe, then you should become a Patreon of the Kickers of Elves. For only a little bit a month, whether it's $1, $5, or even more, you can support three wonderful gentlemen doing great work for the Star Trek community. And with that $5 a month, you have access to our wonderful Discord server where you can chat with a whole bunch of Star Trek nerds who aren't toxic jerks who think that Star Trek Discovery is just about being a social justice warrior. If you like Stefan's voicemails, come to Discord. Do you like listening to me rant and rave like you was doing here on Twitter? Come to Discord. Do you like just supporting people who are doing great things and not getting compensated for it? Then become a Patreon of Kickers of Elves. You know you need to do it, so sign up today. Thanks.
Oh well, I think we're very touched by that. Adam is a very is a good soul, and we're really happy to have him.
Oh yeah,
as a patron and on the Discord and being able to chat with him and the other patrons there. Yeah, they have a really good time together.
Yeah.
Not just chatting with us, but a really good time talking about Star Trek together.
You know, we're so supportive of each other, but James, fuck you. It's not it's not Auteur. So, but we're not like that with other people, because we want you to like us. We already like each other well enough that we're not.
Adam's right. Adam's great, by the way.
Yeah.
And everybody on but the Discord is really great and it's really fun, and it is thankfully so far for now totally devoid of like toxic bullshit,
right?
Of that kind of stuff. So that's nice.
Yeah.
So
do what he said. All right. End commercial. I guess we can put that at the end.
On that note, do you want to let people know how they can get a hold of us and all that cool stuff?
So give us a call. We need to have something to keep this show going in the break for Discovery. In addition to, we'll get around to how would we change this show without starting
one arm behind our back. Yeah.
But so give us if you have any ideas about that or anything else you want to talk to us about, give us a call at 917-408-3898 or send us a audio file. Try to keep it under 3 minutes at our email for the other podcast we do, The Rules of Acquisition. That email is rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. And you may have heard some of our listeners talking about this Kickers of Elves Patreon. So you can also help us out there and join the conversation and hear all the other stuff that we do on that. I think it says itself, patreon.com/Kickers of Elves.
We don't need your money, but we really want it. I have a car where the doors open like normal, but I want a car that opens the door. Flies on the door.
You need some wing doors, right?
I need or like whoosh. I don't need
Well, on that note, thanks again for listening to A Discovery Home Companion. We hope that you join us next time when we talk about all things Star Trek Discovery. For Wade, James, and myself, 3 to beam out.
Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Caster or Fuckcast or Podsucker. Review us on iTunes. Also grab a bit of fame for yourself by calling us at 917-408-3898 and leaving us a message. We play that shit on air. Or email us at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. Also, listen to our Deep Space Nine podcast, Rules of Acquisition. It is pretty amazing, but you may not yet be ready for its awesome amazingness. Assess your personal awesomeness appropriately.